welcome back to our channel. Thanks for joining us. Today I have a very special video. I am sharing my birth story, and we have some clips from the hospital, but I'm mostly going to be just narrating what happened, and so I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching. So Meadow's original due date was April 18th, but the last appointment I had, she was nowhere near ready to come out yet. She was facing downwards, but I wasn't dilated at all. And I had no signs of labor, so I decided that I would try to dance her out with that baby mama song.
Been pregnant for way too long.
If she a baby mama, she gon' do that baby mama. She gon' put it on you, she gon' do that baby mama.
Unfortunately, the dancing did not work, so I did have an appointment the next day on the 19th, and the doctor scheduled me for an induction at 41 weeks, just because I did have gestational diabetes, so they did want baby to come out, but they also wanted to wait to see if she would come out naturally, but it did not happen that way, so we did end up having to get induced. I remember on the day of our induction, I was so excited to finally meet this little baby that had been in my belly for 9 months, but it was really important to me to spend time with our dog Woody, because I knew he was gonna get sad, and I knew he was gonna get jealous because all of the attention was gonna be on the baby. So we just cuddled him all day and spent as much time with him and gave him so many snuggles before we had to go to the hospital, because we didn't know how long the induction was going to take. So we made sure we spent extra time with him. Are you gonna miss us? Yeah. Oh, you're gonna miss us. Oh, you're pushing on my bladder. Luckily, my family is really close by. My brother is literally my neighbor. We live in the same apartment complex. And he was watching Woody for us. That's our dog. And yeah, I guess while we were in the hospital, Woody decided to try to escape. I don't know if it's because he knew that the baby was coming or what had occurred, but it's very unlike him to do that. But I didn't even know that had happened until like way after Meadow was born. So I was like, what the heck? My poor dog would try to run away because he knows this baby is coming home. Before we left to the hospital, I called my mom and asked her to come over to do French braids in my hair, because that's how I wanted my hair for my delivery. But let's just say my hair did not stay that way. So something I really wanted to do and something I was super excited for was to wear matching outfits to the hospital. Even though I knew I was going to go into a hospital gown immediately, it was just something for fun. Once my mom finally finished my hair, she had to redo it several times because my hair is a little difficult to work with. But after I was done, we went straight to the hospital, but we took some pictures before we left, obviously, because why wouldn't you? Yeah, we got to the hospital a little late, probably like 10 minutes late, but they did not care at all. They told us take our time, make sure you have everything you need, and they'll be waiting for us once we get there. At the hospital, we had to wait in this waiting area, and we waited there for quite some time. And that was just before they called us back to start the induction process. They finally called us back. We went into the little triage part and they asked me a bunch of questions, typed all the answers on the computer, had me change into a gown, and checked if I was dilated at all. I was not anywhere near dilated. But yeah, so I got admitted. They put us in our little room, and that's when it all started. They started giving me medication to ripen my cervix. So the medicine that they gave me, they said it's not meant to cause contractions. However, it can cause contractions just because it's ripening your cervix and it's helping you dilate. But for me, I was getting a bunch of contractions when they gave me the medicine. In the beginning, I didn't really feel them. The nurse came in and she said, "Are you feeling your contractions?" And I told her, I was like, "No, I'm not having any contractions." And she said, "Yes, you are." So that was good at first. I wasn't feeling any pain. But with all the contractions that I was having, I was not dilating at all. Like, not at all. So the first, I would say 24 hours, I was 0 centimeters dilated still.
Hey everybody, it's currently 4:30 in the morning. Jenna's starting to get contractions. Here's our baby's heartbeat. We're just waiting for her to get here.
But something that I did enjoy was, so they put these bands on your belly to monitor baby and to monitor your contractions. And throughout the whole night, we got to hear our little baby's heartbeat the whole time, and that's just, it was so cute. It made us feel like she was almost here, like she was ready to be with us. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional. Our first night at the hospital was pretty uneventful. They continued to check up on me, check if I was dilated, monitor my contractions, monitor baby's heart rate, and the first night nothing really happened. I was able to sleep, I was able to relax, I was able to eat snacks, and it was just very relaxing. But that changed the next day, for sure. I just realized earlier I said nothing happened the first 24 hours. I meant to say nothing happened the first 12 hours, because the next day they continued to give me the doses of medicine to ripen my cervix, and I was getting contractions nonstop. It was like one contraction that just didn't go away, and I was starting to get some pain, but I wasn't dilating at all. So the doctor put in a balloon into my cervix, and I was in the worst pain I've ever been in. So personally, I didn't use a birth plan. I was just like, whatever happens, happens. I just want my baby to arrive safe. So I didn't want to go in with a plan and then be let down. But the one thing that I did tell my fiance was I did not want them to use those balloons because I've only heard terrible things about them and how painful they are. But at this point, I was ready to have my baby. These contractions weren't stopping and I wasn't dilating. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm sure it's not that bad. So I said okay to the balloon. It was called a double cervical ripening balloon, I believe. Oh my gosh, I will never do that again. So, they inserted the balloon. They said I was 1 centimeter dilated when they inserted the balloon. I honestly don't know. It didn't feel like it. It was so painful. As soon as they put it in, it was so painful, and I just was immediately in tears, was in so much pain. I had been taking some pain medicine for the contractions, and I had already reached my limit with that one. So there was really nothing they can do besides give me the epidural. Before going to the hospital, I already knew if I was in pain, I was getting the epidural. I was never going to try to just push through the pain. I don't like pain. I do have a high pain tolerance, but I don't like pain, so I knew I was going to get the epidural at some point if I felt I needed it. And so, yeah, as soon as they put the balloon in and I was in agonizing pain, I told the nurse, like, I can't handle this pain. I mean, I cried to the nurse. I really couldn't talk much. But I said, can I please get the epidural? So they rolled me to the delivery room and they gave me the epidural immediately. And the epidural, it really didn't hurt. Maybe it's because of how much pain I was already feeling, but yeah, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would not get the balloon. I would just try to wait it out until she was ready to come, I guess. So once the epidural kicked in, it was such a relief. I felt like I could breathe again, and it was just a waiting game at that point. So in the labor and delivery room, my nurse was amazing. She kept coming in to make sure I was comfortable, to make sure I was okay. At this point, I was getting Pitocin as well with the epidural. And they kept checking on baby because her heart monitor kept showing that it was like dropping or speeding up or something. I don't know exactly what it was. But I personally thought that it was just the positioning because I did keep moving my position to get comfortable. Throughout our whole time in the hospital, my fiance was in charge of texting whoever I did not text. So we had talked to the nurse and we all came to the conclusion that baby probably wasn't going to arrive anytime soon. So we sent the text to our family, baby's probably not going to be here tonight. Because throughout the evening when the nurse was checking the balloon, there were no signs that any dilation had occurred. The balloon was still snug in there, not coming out anytime soon. So yeah, we told our family, like, nothing's going to happen tonight. We're just going to be in the labor and delivery room all night. Hi, baby Meadow.
Hi, baby Meadow.
We're waiting for you, and we're in the labor and delivery room. And we're so excited for you to be here. We have your little heart monitor. Oh, you can't really see it. This is the room that you're gonna be born in. There's your daddy's setup. And here's your mommy's setup. This experience has been very wild. A wild roller coaster ride. But your daddy has been here every step of the way for us, Meadow Girl. And We're very, 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 very lucky to have such an amazing, wonderful guy to take care of us. We're very lucky to have him in our life, Meadow, and you'll see that when you grow up. We love you, baby Meadow. Can't wait to meet you. Say bye-bye. Around 10 o'clock p.m., my nurse came in and she put, it's like the peanut ball. She turned me on my side and she put that in between my legs and just had me lay like that. And she said she would be back. She went to go check on another patient. Before she left, she checked the balloons to see if they would come out. They were still pretty snug in there, so she said she'll be back. Just hang tight. And almost as soon as she left, around 10:15, because we had the monitor on my belly, you could hear her heartbeat. All of a sudden, we heard a huge thump. I felt something in my belly, and my water broke, like out of nowhere, from the nurse just being in the room. And so I was like, I told my fiance, I think my water just broke. I asked him, I was like, did you hear that thump? I was like, I think baby like kicked the sack open or something. I don't know, but water is pouring out. And so I told him, I was like, come check to see if like what this looks like. I can't see. I have this peanut ball in between my legs and something's not right. Like water's just pouring out at this point. So he came and he was like, I think your water broke. And we called my nurse. But she was still attending to her other patient. So another nurse came in and she said, yep, your water broke. So at this point, the nurse checked to see if the balloons would come out, and they still weren't coming out. So she said, you know, you're still not dilated, but at this point, anything can happen. I can't tell you baby's on her way. I can't tell you she's not. We just kind of have to wait and see. But she said she was going to get my nurse for me and have her check on me. So at that time, I still was not even 3 centimeters dilated, and that was around 10:15 p.m. My nurse came and checked on me. I'm not too sure what time she came and checked on me, but it wasn't too long after. And I guess she hadn't spoken to the other nurse yet because she had been with her patient the whole time. So she came in and she was like, oh, I thought maybe like something had happened. And I told her, yeah, my water broke. And she was like, what? So she came and she checked the balloons too. And I was still at the point where I wasn't dilated. And she was like, oh my gosh, like I was not expecting that today. So at this point, we were super excited. My fiance and I were like, should we tell everybody in the group chat? Should we wait? Like, we don't know what to do. And the nurse was like, well, there's no guarantee that she's going to be here tonight just because your water broke. It's kind of just a wait and see now to see what happens. He decided to let his mom know, my future mother-in-law, because we did want her in there during the delivery, because I know he was my emotional support, but he also needed emotional support, and she was one of the best people to do that. And it ended up being for the best that she was there, because there was, oh my gosh, I did not expect to get so emotional. So we did have a little bit of a scare, but we'll get there. I'm gonna continue going through this timeline. So his mom got there, and I had asked her if she could do my hair for me in a braid, because by that time my hair was already completely out of the French braid that my mom had done for me. And I guess when I sat up, I had triggered something, or the baby's monitor wasn't on her, so nurses came rushing in, and they were like, it kind of scared me. And I was like, is everything okay? And they're like, oh yeah, since you changed positions, the monitor went off of the baby. So it showed that there was something wrong with her heart rate, but it's just because you moved positions. So the 3 or 4 nurses like rushed in, but everything was fine. They said it was a false alarm, so they had put me in a position where they fixed the monitor, and they told me like just try not to move, because it'll make baby's monitor go off of her, and yeah, so I didn't really think anything of it. His mom had done my hair, and I just kept feeling like my water was just, it still was coming out. Like, I was shocked how much liquid was inside of my belly that was just coming out. At around 11:10-ish, 11:12-ish p.m., I had told my fiance, I was like, I think the balloon is like coming out. Like, I feel it coming out. I feel something. And so we called the nurse, and she came and checked, and she gave it her little tug like she had been doing all evening. And when she pulled it out, more water just like exploded out, like popping a champagne bottle. The balloon came out, and she was like shocked, kind of, because the last time she had checked, it was stuck in there pretty good. And she was like, whoa, you're almost ready to start pushing. You're about 8.5 centimeters. So within an hour, I went from possibly 1 centimeter dilated to 8.5 centimeters dilated, and almost ready to start pushing. So that was super exciting for us, and I just could not wait to meet my baby girl. So at around 12:03, it was midnight at this point. It's now April 27th. A bunch of nurses came in, and they were like, don't be scared, we are here because we're gonna celebrate a birthday, which meant I was ready to start pushing, and she was gonna be here sooner than we knew it. And it was just like, I don't know how to describe the feeling. You just like, you're excited, you're nervous, you're anxious, and you're just ready. You're ready to meet your baby. Then my nurse came in, all the other nurses left, and I began pushing at 12:09 a.m. just with her. I'm not sure if they were like practice pushes. That's what I feel like it was, because I didn't feel like I was doing anything. And it was just my nurse by herself in the room with me. So yeah, we were ready to get baby girl out.
Ready? So take a nice deep breath in and push hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Breathe. Nice deep breath in and push. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Breathe. One more time. Nice deep breath in and push hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Breathe. Your first one was the best one. Okay? I'm going to get some dry gloves on. I'm going to help you hold your legs, and I'm going to try to bring your legs in a little bit. I'm going to try to mess with these stirrups, okay? And then we're going to push for a while without me there, just so I don't like kind of make you tear a little bit more. No matter what, you're probably gonna tear. But that way I don't cause additional tearing.
So although my nurse was being super positive and everything, and I was pushing, a couple of the other nurses came in and they were really worried about baby's heart rate. You could see the worry in their face, which was kind of terrifying. At this point, I think there was like 3 or 4 nurses, and my nurse tried to attach an internal heart monitor. I think that's what it's called. So that way they can see like that the baby was doing okay. And next thing you know, I hear her say that it's stuck or something, and I don't know what's going on. I was just like, is everything okay? I thought that there was just problems with the monitor itself. I didn't think anything of my baby, you know? All of a sudden, the doctor comes in, and I continue pushing, and he lets me know, we might have to vacuum the baby out, and I was just like, okay, like, if that's what you guys need to do to make sure my baby's safe, that's fine. And then it seemed like in a split second, like, everything went into a panic mode, and you could just read the room, you could kind of feel the tension, and something wasn't right. I'm getting emotional again, but it was scary. So the next thing you know, the doctor, like, everything just got so intense. And so they're like, we need to get this baby out right now. And I was like, okay. So I'm focused on my pushing. At this point, they kind of were talking amongst themselves. And they're like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? And everything just kind of stopped. And I was like, I said, is everything okay? And no one answered. And you immediately think the worst. So I asked again. I said, is my baby okay? And no one was really saying anything to me. And at this point, I was just like, you know what? Like, I need to get my baby out. I need to make sure she's okay. And I couldn't think like something was wrong with my baby. I was just like, I'm gonna push her out. She's gonna be perfectly fine. She's gonna come out crying, and that's all I can focus on. So my fiance was recording with the GoPro, and at this point I realized he wasn't next to me anymore. He stopped recording, and my future mother-in-law was standing next to me, and she's just, telling me, like, you can do it, mija, like, push, listen to the doctor. And one of the nurses was like, okay, Jenna, like, we have the NICU team in here just in case. And it was scary, but I couldn't focus on being scared. I had to focus on getting my baby out. So it went from like a couple nurses and the doctor to a room full of people, and I just heard everybody in the room like, push, Jenna, push, mama, you can do it. And like, I realized like I had to get her out. Like, I had to push as hard as I could. And with the epidural, it's hard because you can't feel, like, you don't feel like you're doing anything. So it's just like, you feel so helpless. So at this point, my room was filled with different nurses and the NICU team. And so I was just closing my eyes, and I pictured like a little heartbeat, and that's what helped me focus. the doctor told me, Jenna, we need to get the baby out right now. And then the nurses, they told me, you know, push as hard as you can, like push like you've never pushed before. And it was intense, it was scary, and finally I could feel her almost coming out. So I pushed with everything I had, and the doctor told me, Jenna, open your eyes, and next thing I know, he's putting my baby on top of me, and she's crying, and I'm crying, and it was the most beautiful thing, but worried because I didn't know what was going on. So I said, is she okay? And they said, yeah, she looks good. My fiance cut her cord. He was standing there when she came out, when she was born, and it was beautiful, and I was just so grateful that she was okay. The NICU team took a look at her after my fiance cut the cord, and they said everything looked good and she was healthy, and they put her back on my chest and they gave us the golden hour where I got to bond with her. At this point, the only people in the room were me and my fiance and some of the nurses that were like cleaning up a little bit, but we got that alone time with her and it was so special. She cried for a little bit, and she looked up at me and I was looking down crying at her, so happy, and she like immediately just stopped crying and just stared at me, and it was so beautiful. Like I instantly felt connected to her. So I told my fiance, I was like, talk to her, say hi, because he was standing right next to us, and he said hi to her, and she cooed to him, and the nurses that were in the room, all of them were like, "Aw." It was so cute, and I told them, I was like, she's already a daddy's girl, like, since she's been in the womb, she's been a daddy's girl, but it's something I will never forget. It was a roller coaster ride of an experience, and it's just one of the scariest days, one of the happiest days, and I'll just be forever grateful that she was okay. So some of my family was there in the waiting room, and they were able to come visit for a very quick time because right after that bonding hour, the nurse helped me get cleaned up and we had to go to another room for postpartum. And so we didn't get visitors for too long, but it was just, I don't know, it was quite the experience.
Great.
I don't feel like that was too.
No.
I felt like every push and like nothing was happening.
People always feel that way, and then it comes, alright? Listen.
You're okay when you take me to
Go for it.
It's not breaking.
pressure.
Oh.
Sorry, I took it off.
When it breaks like this.
Oh, can I still take more?
I was looking everywhere else around. I didn't know. Oh
Okay,
no.
so the sewing part is actually not
fine.
that
I just
bad.
couldn't
You
find
actually
it.
don't have that bad of a tear, alright? I asked her to be super sorry.
It's fine.
But what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew this up, alright? You're gonna feel me tugging and pulling. I'm sorry. That's life. But if you feel any pain, you need to let me know. Sounds good?